Yeah, New York City, you are a foreign occupied city. You're not part of the United States. You're like the District of Columbia, occupied by uh, cockroaches, rats, an occasional alligator, and the United Nations. The United Nations occupies New York City like a foreign country. And you people love it. You have these foreign dignitaries from everywhere in the world. They come there, they tie up your traffic. They're snot-nosed kids, 25 and 30-year-olds, rape your women. Some of them rape your men. They tie up your traffic. They double park. They snarl your world. They own you. You, New York City, are an occupied city, occupied by the United Nations. You, but you love it, and you put up with it. And when you're not occupied by foreign people like Ahmadinejad, who comes there and you invite him over to your colleges so he can slam the United States, and you love him. Runs right over there to Larry King. You give him a venue. You could never go to his country and talk like that. But you accept that New York, because you're not really part of the United States. You're occupied by cockroaches, rats, and the United Nations. You're similar to Venezuela. Look at Hugo Chavez. He did what your Mayor Bloomberg, with his power and his money, said, hey, let's do away with term limits while I'm here. You voted for him. You will have a mosque built there somewhere, and if they don't, you're also occupied by a bunch of news media freaks. Bill O'Reilly stands up there or sits there every night and says, it will not be built there. That mosque will not be built at ground zero. No, Bill, you know what they're going to do? They're going to find the nearest commercial property of your house and build one there. Yep, you're about like Washington, D.C. It's full of rats, too. Most of them sit there in that place called Capitol Hill. Yep, Bloomberg, Chavez, same thing. You're like Venezuela. Give him another term. He'll buy it. He'll buy the newspapers. These news media types occupy you too. You've got Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, the Morning Hoe. Let's see, Scarborough was born, I think, in Atlanta, but he's lived in New York, and he lives there now. He's right at home with the rest of the Democrats. Scarborough is a Democrat. And he talks about being from Pensacola, Florida all the time. I'll get to that later. You don't even own weapons there. You can't. You may have some, but you're in violation of the law. In other words, it is your duty, New York, when some punk comes up to you on the street and points his gun because you've turned yours in and says, give me your money, it's your duty. You hand that money to that underprivileged guy that you jerk around. Then you woof about being green. I hear more woofing about green coming out of that city. You live in the worst environment that you could possibly live in that is ungreen. It's concrete. It's pavement. It's exhaust. It's pollution. I am a green guy. Jerks. I live in a forest with trees. I don't go haywire when there's one hawk flying around that made its nest on that one building that time close to Central Park. I got hawks, owls, dove. No, I'm green. Not you. You are killing the environment, living in that occupied city of yours, occupied by the United Nations. And you love it. Because that's what you are. an occupied country, if you want to call it. Hey, Luxembourg's a country. Let's call New York its own country, occupied by the United Nations. And you love it. And they will build a mosque anywhere they want, including Ground Zero, because you're tolerant. So don't get up there and blow hard a little bit. Just keep on re-electing. Just keep on re-electing your Congress people and Bloomberg, yeah, and Rangel. Yeah. Hey, maybe we can throw a Kennedy in there. Yep, you're real green. You're an occupied city, New York. You're a cancer on the environment. Stuff, concrete. New York City, the pristine New York City was a swamp where wildlife probably did abound. So you've ruined the environment. And you say you love that city? And if you love it so much, why do you people retire from New York and come down here to Florida? You get out, you leave the occupied city, you come down here to Florida, you set up your little condominium associations because you have to live in a communist environment because you are communist. And you talk about the way it was in the old country, New York City. And if you're not putting up with the occupation of foreign entities, New York, you're putting up with the mafia. Huh? No mafia here. Can you imagine some mafia scum coming in here to try to tell me to pay protection money? Or Ahmadinejad coming here and running his mouth? No. Anyone that does that, in fact, any New Yorker that comes on this property would, without my permission, would understand the cliche pushing up daisies. Because you see, I don't turn my weapons in for a few dollars. I understand that my freedom depends on me having a weapon. So that when the punk tells me to give me the money, I will give it to him. It's called bullet money. He will, or she will her demise or his demise will come by way of BOB disease, bullet on brain disease. Yeah, New York, you're an occupied city. You're occupied by cockroaches, rats, an occasional alligator, and the United Nations. I'm proud of you. But you're a foreign country, if you will. You don't belong to the United States. You belong to Ahmadinejad and those folks. They come in there and slam you all the time. I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that all the Starbucks in New York City are going to come up with a new drink. Mika Brzezinski's probably going to love it. A new drink with many calories called Coffee Anon. Yay! Oh yeah, you got a bunch of stupid movie stars live there too, don't you? Yeah, they tell you how to live and you follow them blindly. Nope. I'm going to stay green and live in the forest and take care of it. I would not contribute to climate change by living in a paved over concrete world. Merry Christmas, New York. Oh, wait a minute. No, can't say that. Happy holidays, New York.